All right. All right. So I'm going to give you a presentation. This will just give us a good overview. Everybody can see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So tonight I'll talk about the different routes that we have, and then our ridership as a whole, our fleet, and some of the new buses that you might not have seen yet that are still on the way, some that we've just added to the fleet, and a team update of just our size of staff and tenureship at Dunn County Transit, and any questions at the end. So first off, the biggest question is, how do you find information on our routes? Well, a quick Google search of Dunn County bus routes will take you to our main Dunn County government website, and has a nice interface here where it takes you to community bus route with a schedule and a map, doorstop bus schedule. That's our door-to-door bus service. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. There's no map, there's no schedule with that. It just shows and will tell you how to ride it. And then our Stout bus, Stout AM and Stout PM bus schedule for that. So starting us off, the doorstop and Red Cedar routes. That is a door-to-door demand response bus service that runs from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. And you can call us anytime between those hours to schedule rides. And we just ask for 2 hours notice prior to when you need the bus to pick you up. Ensure that we have space for the ride, that we can fit it in with the rest of our riders, and that we can do it in our hours of service. And this inner circle here is the radius that we work at for our daily doorstop service. In town, rate for this is $4 per trip per each way, and you can purchase bus tokens in bulk. They just for some agencies or family members that buy tokens for their relative, and they just give the bag of tokens to the relative, or an agency, let's say Stepping Stones, buys tokens in bulk and then hands those out to individuals that need them. The tokens can be used, there's no discount for tokens, but they can be used in place of cash. Out of town, so $4 is anywhere in the city limits of Menominee. That's anywhere in the white. Out of town doorstop rides are $7 each way, and that's anywhere in the circle. So that still covers a pretty broad area. It's a 10-mile radius of City Hall. So still a very broad area for where we can get to on a daily service. And then anybody that needs rides, that is set up through a family care program like Inclusa or iLife, and billed monthly, that's what the agency rate is. For $10 in town, agency rate, and $15 out of town. And then we bill those out at the end of the month. And then on the door-to-door service, the drivers will assist you and help carry your bags to the house, and on the door-to-door route. Which brings me to this next slide here. So this is a brand new program that we started last June, and it has not gotten utilized much. We've had less than 10 riders utilize this service, but county board members were asking for the longest time to be able to service some of our outlying areas of Dunn County with our doorstop service. And what we were able to do is split Dunn County into 4 quadrants: top right, bottom left, top left, into 1 week per month that we go into that zone on a Tuesday. So If you're up in this zone, you call and you need a ride for the first Tuesday of the month, we'll take you from anywhere up in this quadrant down into town between 9 to 10 a.m. during that window. And then you can utilize the community bus in town or the other normal in-town doorstop service, and then take you back to your residence in your rural area of Dunn County. And currently, with what we have in the budget for the ADRC volunteer driver program, they're able to cover this cost up to a certain amount of rides per year, which we're not close to hitting. So plenty of opportunity for more individuals to utilize this service. For example, last Tuesday, a guy that lives literally right here on the furthest part of Dunn County to the west outside of Knapp dropped his car off at TMS Tire in Menominee, and then rode back with us to his residence out there in rural Dunn County. So it's another way to help people in some of these areas that don't. All of our buses have wheelchair lifts, 3 positions, 2 positions on each bus. So the good part about this is versus when we used to, previous to my time at Dunn County, about 10 years ago, we used to go into some of these outlying cities like Boyceville or Colfax, Elk Mound on a fixed route system, and nobody rode the bus. So it was burning up resources, fuel, miles on buses, etc. The good part about this service that we have here now is if nobody calls, the bus just focuses on in-town rides. So it's there if they need it, and if they don't need it, no harm, no foul. Bus just focuses on inside of the city rides. Okay, before I go to the community route, any questions so far on the doorstop service?
It's like not here. So.
Okay. So this is the route that I'm the most proud of with what we've been able to accomplish on this route in the last 5 years that I've been here. So this has 23 locations for stops in 1 hour. And this is our community bus, community route we call it, and not necessarily stopping at 23 spots per hour. If it's got the hash marks here, that's called a flag stop. So the bus won't stop there unless somebody's there and you flag the bus down, because a lot of these are just bus signs. For example, on Bongi and by Galloway Apartments, Oakleaf Clinic, that sort of thing. So that's the only way that this route can maintain a 1 hour loop. And a lot of these stops that don't necessarily have people at them every time, they become flag stops. So 23 stops per hour, and that runs full loops from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. And it's the same time every hour, so it's very easy to remember. And then on Saturday, that is these 3 loops from 9 a.m. to noon. And that community Saturday bus runs pretty much from Labor Day to Stout's graduation weekend in the spring. Cost for this service is $1 per ride, or CVTC 20 ride punch cards are available for $10 for CVTC students, disabled or elderly individuals. So that drops the rate down to 50 cents a ride for this route. And then $15 for non-elderly, non-disabled. That drops the rate from $1 down to 75 cents a ride. So if you live close to this route or you work close to this route, that's where this route really comes in handy. For example, let's say somebody lives at University Village right here or close by, they can get on here at 9 after the hour. And let's say they work in the business park on the east side of town at Phillips or Anderson over there. You get on the bus at 9 after, and you're already to your destination by 19 after. So literally 10 minutes. Let's say you work at Walmart or somewhere up on the north side of town, and you work at 9 a.m., you're up there in 30 minutes. So that's where this really comes in handy, is if you're close by. And just the way that this route is set up, it's within 3 to 4 blocks of most residential areas of Menominee. So this route is extremely expanded in the past few years. We had over 20,000 rides in 2025, and the 10-year average for rides on this route is 10,000. So over double what the 10-year average is. So this is, I mean, there was times when I drove for Dunn County Transit when I was in college at Stout around 2015, 2016, that I'd have 0 to 3 people on the bus in a day. And when I came back to Dunn County Transit in 2020 during the summer when the university wasn't in session, there's, sometimes still a goose egg when driving that route for 8 hours. So the goal and the big focus was this route to make it more efficient. And that was a huge thing that we did. We cut this route down to an hour. It previously went to the east side of town, the top half of every odd hour plus noon, and then the back half of every hour to the north side, then the south half of town, the top half of every hour of even hour minus noon. It was hard for me to even explain that just now talking. So think about somebody trying to remember that. So I did the math on where people weren't getting on and off the bus stops, cut those off of the route, and just a few small changes made it so this could be the same times every hour. Nobody's going to ride the bus if it's not efficient. It was affordable, but it wasn't efficient. So we made it free to the public we were able to do that for 2 years from 21 to 2023 through COVID, and then still made it very affordable afterwards. Pre-COVID and pre all this, it was $1.50. And even after this, it's now only $1. And then we came out with those punch cards as well. So this has been a great turnout, and it shows that the community believes in this route, and it's been good. Okay. So the Stout route is, if you focus on the bottom 3 stops here, these stops are the Stout AM route, where from 7 a.m., 7:17 every morning, Monday through Friday till 5 p.m. at night, it's a 3-stop figure 8 loop around campus. And high volume, quick turnaround, where there's 1,000 kids riding this a day. So they're on the bus for 30 seconds to a minute and a half, and then go from upper campus dorms down to the UW library, etc. And then the back 3 stops of the community route are the exact same as this figure 8 loop. So that bus right here at the end of every hour is a supplemental second Stout bus that really helps with that volume. And it follows that of the Stout route. And then we were getting feedback for years of, well, I wish the community bus would run later, or we wish the Stout bus would go to Walmart, that sort of thing. And we already had a Stout PM bus that worked till 9 o'clock at night, but it continued its 4 loops an hour, just like the daytime bus did. But we didn't need that high volume capacity like we did during the day when classes were in session. So only a couple years ago, we added the same time that during the day that we went to Walmart and Marketplace, we removed the fourth loop per hour on the Stout PM route, and we made it into a Northtown loop. So Stout PM route from 5 to 9 does 2 loops the first half of the hour, and then at 30 minutes after, it goes north to Walmart and Marketplace to give the university students a way to get groceries or supplies and anything else they need, or visit some of these other areas and small businesses. All the way till 9 o'clock at night, they can go see a movie, etc., and get on the bus right at Walmart. All the way till 9. So previous route only did these 3 loops all the way into the night, and now it actually goes up there. So that's been huge. This route has been pretty much the same for 10 years for the most part, and don't fix it if it's not broken. So for the most part, this is done really well. So not too many changes there, but I'll go into a few changes that we've made in a little bit.
Austin,
Okay.
can I ask a question
Absolutely.
about the night? So
Yeah.
if I wanted to get to Walmart from the clock tower, so would I have to do one loop like at 7:13?
So
How?
and with this too, even though this is the Stout PM route,
Yeah.
any individual can pay the community bus price to
Right.
utilize the Stout PM bus. So you would get up, let's say you need to get to Walmart.
But so my shop stop closes at 7. So if I got on at the clock tower at 7,
7:13, and then you could get off at Walmart 7:42.
okay, so it would do the loop and then
Yep, it would go down to the library at 7:20. Then it would just drop off any students at Red Cedar Hall or pick any up, and then it would head to Walmart.
okay. Thank you.
Yep. Good question. Okay, so on every bus, it says live bus tracker. It says that we have pictures of. So you can download an app for your smartphone, the Transloc app, TRANSLOC. And then it shows you all of our routes. So the doorstop and Red Cedar buses, those don't have routes because they're door-to-door service, but it would still show you the icon of where it is. On these routed buses, it actually shows you upcoming stops, etc. Okay, and then, so this will show you when the next time that these buses are 6:22. So it should say it's going there at 6:30, regardless. Unless my phone is off. But anyways, this track will show you exactly where the bus is, and so you can tell if it's behind or if it's ahead of schedule. But the bus should never be ahead of schedule. If anything, it should be on time or a minute or two behind. We don't want the buses leaving stops early.
Yeah.
That defeats the purpose pretty quickly. But the nice part with this route is you can, with the Transloc app for your phone too, it can see exactly where you are, and it can tell you the closest bus stop and what time it comes past your location. So very cool. Very cool app that we have there.
And people can flag down the bus along the route, right?
Anywhere on the route, as long as it's safe to do so. And the only place it's really not safe to do so is on Broadway, pretty much between the public library and Marketplace. We pick up at the public library. There's a bench there. I don't love the spot, but it was there before my time. People get off at the library a lot. It's just a very congested area, and it's 35 mile an hour speed limit there, so it's not ideal unless there was a way that the city could make a jut out for us. But even just if we can get a shelter moved over there, it'll showcase that it's a bus stop, and I think it'll be even easier. But anyways, yes. Other than that, most of the route is extremely easy to flag the bus down on. Okay, so ridership. There's a lot on this table. This is what I shared with the county board in my January report, but I said I would talk about passenger count in this meeting and just showing what we get for ridership on an annual basis between our routes. And it's normally around 120 to 125,000. We're just shy of the best year ever this year. And if you see how Menominey's population, it's been about the same as well as 10 years ago. And we've put about as many hours on the bus as we did 10 years ago as well. But if you're statistical wise, looking back 10 years and being able to have close to the same, it cut off my 2016, but close to the same budget as a lot of things we did 7-8 years ago and making stuff work. That's something to be proud of for the team. And then fleet update. So only within the last year and a half or so, we've actually had transit buses back at Dunn County Transit. Before, and the buses you see around town a lot are the 40, 450 cutaways that we've done most of our routes with. And our stout route was getting too popular. Students were utilizing it so much that we needed to look at other options. We were running out of capacity and having to leave students at the bus stops till the next 15-minute loop. So I was able to find these two buses from University of Indiana Hoosiers and pick these two buses up on their surplus auction. And we got rid of two old cutaways that we didn't use anymore that weren't fitting our needs. And it was pretty much a net wash to get these. And to buy each of these new is about $700,000 to $800,000 these days. So it takes a lot to buy these new and put in the secondary market. They're extremely affordable. So it's able to have that be a net wash. So these can fit 50 people on them at a time. And most of these cutaways can fit 14 to 18. And since this picture, we also have these are 30 footers. We have a 35 footer that's gray and green that can fit 72 people. So that one's been in service a couple days and will show its face around town a little bit more after Stout spring break. Then two 100% electric buses coming in summer of 26. This has been a long time coming. Everything from battery suppliers going bankrupt or going out of business to different contract agreements getting having to be canceled, etc. We are about 90% of the finish line, and we're sitting pretty good for these two buses to arrive this summer. So more exciting things to come with that in the coming months, but those will be two 14-passenger buses, and excited to have them in a fleet. The chargers for these have been installed at our garage for, I think, October of 22 or 23. So it's about time we get them turned on. Okay. And team updates. Just wanted to showcase the team here of kind of how big of a team it takes to run and make things move around town. And there's 11 of us, and between all of us, there's 53.7 years of service, with an average years of service of 5.5 years. And so we have a great team and a lot of experience. And we put on about 95,000 miles in 2025 and zero accidents. And we could say the same thing back from 24. And other than that, since I've been here in the 5 years, a couple of snowy and foggy days of just sliding into the ditch. It's been, knock on wood, it's been a good 5 years just in total for the team. But yeah, great team of part timers and full timers. And okay. All right. Hope we got more people join since shared my screen.
So the buses all have a bike rack, right, out front.
Yes, minus one or two but for the most part, any bus that drives the community route has a bike rack. I can safely say that. We're one short of our whole fleet of 10 buses, but what we've done is made sure that the community bus is the one that everybody uses the bike rack for.
Okay.
Red Cedar and doorstop buses very rarely get the bike rack used, but it is there because those are the same buses that fill in on community. And most of our stout buses also have bike racks. Community bike racks get used very often, and they can hold two at once. So,
Yes, I have a question or two, actually, please. The first question is regarding, you mentioned the library stop. Is that the small bench right straight out from the main library driveway
yep,
on Broadway?
yep.
Okay, well, could you approach the city to see how much that inset would cost?
Yes. I've talked to Dave about different options, and I don't I don't know if they loved it. We also talked about, for a little while, we ran the community route up Wolski Bay Road, and that didn't work too bad. But so many people need to get off the bus at Oak and Tainter
No.
by Kai Chevrolet and Caribou Coffee. That's where they get off there. If we didn't have so many people that got off there, we could take Wolski Bay Road that turns into Wilson Street
Right,
all the way. So then we wouldn't be stopping on such a busy road. We could stop right by that bear statue.
right.
Um, but I overthink this a lot, and then about that bus stop. But then you go to Eau Claire, and every street is just like Broadway, where people are driving 35 miles an hour, and there's a bus stop right in front of coming down the hill on Oakwood Hills Parkway, coming towards Shields and Buffalo Wild Wings, with no jut out, no nothing, no inset, right on the right side there. And it's just something I think people are more used to in bigger cities. But yeah, I think I think they consider Broadway a state highway with being 25. So then that puts that into the whole thing.
No. I have a follow-up on that. I served on the library board long, long time ago, and it was hell getting that little piece of sidewalk
Right.
put in across the street. What is it, 15 feet worth of sidewalk from
Mm-hmm.
the Wolski Road over to Broadway. Yeah, so, but keep working on it.
I really. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm on the bike pedestrian committee and I'll bring that up because Dave sits in on that. The second question, if you may, one of the issues with the bike pedestrian committee is they have talked more recently about the fact there are no pedestrian advocates on the committee. Even though everybody that bikes walks, right? Anyway, so one of the things that came up recently with a former member of the committee who just resigned, he had knee surgery and he rode the buses for a couple of weeks. And he said it was a wonderful opportunity to talk with the bus drivers. And one of the issues in the bike pedestrian committee is also crosswalks, like down here in 12th, Broadway, where Quick Trip is, students going across. And I nearly hit a couple there myself late at night, and you can't see. And we've gone around on some of these crossings. So would you be interested, or would it be possible for you to suggest a couple of bus drivers that we could interview about their routes and what they see, so that we could bring that information to the committee, so maybe we can make more intelligent decisions? Because your drivers see these crossings a lot more than any of us. So there would be some good information to present.
Yeah, I actually drove that individual that you're talking about. If he lives by 20th and 3rd Street West.
Yes.
Yep. I drove him to an appointment. Very nice guy. So, no, you make great points. I think those yellow strobes crosswalks have really made a huge difference. When I ran the nighttime routes 10 years ago here, none of those existed.
Right.
But I think a couple more, or one more, right where you're talking from Stout to Quick Trip, would go a long ways. But yeah, drivers are all ears when they're here to help. So just reach out.
That would be great. The problem that Dave brings up, Dave we're talking about, Dave Schofield, who's head of the planning for the city, is the fact that, like down here at Quick Trip, there's so many lights. And you add in more lights and so forth, and the drivers get not only confused, but they become blasé because they're getting the crosswalk at Stout by General Services, and they get the lights at Broadway and 29 and so forth, and then the lights at 13th, and so something in between that, what he argues more confusing. There's those yellow signs, but a lot of people don't walk around in high-vis clothing at night.
Right.
And so, like I said, the other night, I was within 10 feet of clobbering a student going across. It was so dark, but it scared me. Anyway, and that's not the first time in different places. But so, yeah, that'd be great if you could suggest some drivers to us. That would be great.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I really think I've been talking. Dave doesn't have a problem for sure with us moving a bus shelter to the library. I think that by itself, just showing that that's a bus stop more, will go a long ways. So looking forward to that. Other than that, that's a pretty good overview of and backstory of what we do. And I'm trying to think of anything else that I'm not thinking of. But here to answer any questions that you might have too.
Austin, does the city clean out the bus stops? The shelter?
Nope. We do that. We outsource that. Shine Bright Exteriors out of Wheeler has done a very good job. We have them do it just on an on-call basis a few times a year. It's about $400, but he takes care of the nine bus shelters, and he does all the surfaces and glass, and so it I think it works out pretty good for us. But on snow removal, we take care of that as well. The university plows up pretty close to where our shelters are, so normally it's not too much extra shoveling. But then same thing with the city, but there are a few bus stops that are not connected to city sidewalks, like Edgewood and 28th bus stop, or the Sunset bus stop over by Applebee's. Those takes a lot of shoveling, or our electric snow blower. We haven't had to go too crazy on it this year, but we'll see on the Saturday night snowstorm.
Any other questions?
I have a question. So when you're trying to acquire a second-hand bus, what sorts of regulatory considerations are there? What kinds of things do you have to consider as you're, selecting the bus? What rules do you have to adhere to?
Just our normal procurement of purchasing through the county. With, if it's over 5,000, you need a second quote on a similar vehicle, and then if it's above 15,000, you need 3 written quotes. But all of our buses, whether we buy them used or new, they all have to be spec'd out for transit use. And we purchased those 2 buses from another transit agency, and then so that takes care of that side of things. But so all these transit buses, the heavy duty ones, they come from something like that. But where that question would more really come into effect is with these cutaways and stuff. A lot of times those aren't sold firsthand to transit companies, so you would have to be a little bit more careful to confirm it was spec'd out right with a working bus lift, etc., all that. But we need lift inspections for our wheelchair lifts every 700 lifts, or every 6 months, depending on how often they get used. But pretty safe when it comes to the spec'd out buses on the heavy transit side, but a little bit more open-ended on the smaller cutaway buses, because past life on some of them might have been from somebody using it for a camper or something else. So we spec out most of our cutaways new through the WisDOT FTA bus funding program, because when it's done that way, it's 20% that Dunn County has to pay, and the state pays for 80%. The only benefit with these heavy transit buses and purchasing them on the secondhand market is they take a year to get if you buy them new, and they're also, if it's a heavy diesel bus at $600,000 new, with a 20% local share of that is still 125,000, and then upwards of a diesel hybrid is 750,000, and then up to a full electric is $1 million for a bus. But on the secondary market, the only companies buying these retired transit buses from these big transit agencies are smaller transit bus agencies. So, for example, these 3 buses that I purchased were anywhere from $3,000 to $5,800, fully paid for. So it takes a lot of those used buses in that market to go and ask the county board to say, hey, can you front 200,000 for this other one? So this was a pretty safe way for us to dip our toes back in the heavy transit style bus market. Sorry, that's the long-winded answer to your question.
Yeah, good question. I like
Good
it.
question, good answer.
So did they say hybrid? Are they a diesel hybrid?
Yes. Yeah, 2 out of the 3 transit buses we have are diesel hybrid, where it doesn't need to get plugged in or anything. It just charges off of the engine brake and then helps you start off in second gear, for example, at stop signs. So it just helps with fuel mileage. But yeah, the difference new on that versus a pure diesel is about $150,000 to $200,000 dollars in price. So it's cool that we have those here at Dunn County. They're pretty complex electrically, though. So it's very hard to troubleshoot if they act up in that hybrid area of their electronics versus the other parts. Been able to troubleshoot a lot of stuff on these buses, but some of those I have not.
Who does the maintenance on the buses? The county?
It depends on how shorthanded we are. I have an operations supervisor that's part-time at Dunn County Transit that he takes care of small things, especially on the cutaway buses where it's oil changes, tire changes, stuff like that. With these bigger buses, we take them either to Irvington Garage or down the road to Semi Correct because one, we don't have a lift, and two, we don't have time, and three, we might not have the expertise. But those cutaway buses, I know like the back of my hand. So a lot of times I can at least diagnose what's going on, and then we can have somebody else fix it very quickly. Sometimes the highway department helps us out. I have them help us out on the facilities fleet side a lot more. They're pretty busy just with fixing their own stuff. So a lot of times I try not to lean on them unless we need to. But we've had very good luck and speed out of Irvington Garage and Semi Correct, and then Northtown Ford for a lot of our cutaways as well.
Not a question, but just saying that it's really great service. And all the bus drivers that when I've been on the bus have been really great people. So kudos.
Thank you. I'll forward that. On. We have a table in our break room, and it talks about it has what buses we're using that day, what we had for total ridership the day before, and then an area for monthly compliments and complaints. And the goal is to get a goose egg in one, and then get some tallies on the other. So we appreciate it. And when you're transporting, 1,000 to 1,100 people a day, it's a lot, and the goal is always the complaints that get me the worst are the ones where it was about a driver's attitude, because that's something we can control. So some things we can't control, if it's a snowstorm and the bus is late, or there's an accident downtown and there's a detour, that sort of thing. But what we can control is our attitude. So that's what we really try to focus on, that and being smooth while driving the bus. That's one thing we try to stress. And sometimes we don't see it, and sometimes we need to tweak it. So yeah, thank you for the compliment.
You can put that one on the table then, can't you?
Yeah.
Kelly down. I'll tell the group.
If there aren't any other questions,
I'd like to make one comment. I liked your comment on staying on schedule. I lived a lot of places when I was growing up, including Detroit for 25 years. And as Detroit was falling apart, the buses on the main drag there, Woodward, which is the main street from the river north, from the river in Detroit, it's like a set of wheel spokes out of the river. But the buses on Woodward are the busiest, and they used to run every 5 minutes. And when things were going to hell, you could stand there for a half an hour or 25 minutes and wait for buses, and all of a sudden you'd get 6 buses all at once. One would be very crowded, and the others would be empty. So yeah, it was a problem. Anyway, that's been helped. But anyway, that's from the past. It's not a gripe, it's just an observation.
was clear.
Absolutely. Just trying to find one spot here. I'm just going to share my report that I put together in paper form into the chat here, so it'll be part of the recording or someone. I'm not sure how that works, if it stays attached after the recording is saved, but
I'll have to download it and then save it.
yeah, but if Ann can distribute that in PDF form if anybody would like, but
Well, if there aren't any other questions, let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for getting that community route down to an hour and so efficient.
yes, absolutely.
Another compliment to put on the board.
Yes. Yes, and adding the night loop as well. I think people appreciate that.
No, I think so too.
And so for everyone, March 24th at 6 p.m. we're gonna have Steve Betchko come for the City for the Trees. So he created a documentary for Eau Claire about the importance of trees in the cities. So that's our next talk, and then we'll having native plantings on the 26th.
Do they have hybrid trees and decent trees?
I think they have an ordinance that you have to get approval before you can cut trees down.
They're not very good at replacing them with decent trees, so are they?
We don't want diesel trees. But thank you so much, Austin, for
Yes, thank you.
it was great. So,
Yep, thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
and you feel better.
Yep, thank you. Bye-bye.
Go to sleep.
These will work. These will work.
They'll put in
Thanks for
locust
coming.
trees or something to just break.
I grew up in East Detroit.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.